Hi, my name's Ted Haggard from St. James Church in Colorado Springs, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about common sense. I'm going to do a series of simply put videos on some of the big ideas that we just need in life, and we need to apply it to the world around us. Every single Sunday, a group of people give money to St. James Church. The amount of money they give to St. James Church gives St. James Church power. So we have more money to have men's meetings, youth meetings, children's meetings. We can pay some people for their expertise. We can improve our video equipment. And so when people contribute, they go online to St. James Church and contribute to us, then that gives us more power. If they give that same money to an atheist organization or to some other type of organization, then it empowers them as well. We have to understand that with our money, because if we want to help the poor, we got to choose. We get to choose. We can help through the Salvation Army, or we can do it directly by giving some person that's struggling some money. That's the way we give them power. All right, so the same thing happens in our families. Think, if you took a 20-year-old young man and you taught him that he was to live on 80% of his after-tax income, and he was to give to his local church 10% of his after-tax income and invest and save 10% of his after-tax income, by the time he was in his 50s and 60s, he could potentially be worth multiple millions of dollars because of compounding interest and investments and things like that. So he's strong. But let's say you take the same young man, and for every $1,000 he gets, he spends $1,400. So when he gets $2,000, he spends $2,800. If he gets $3,000, he spends $4,200. That means he's borrowing that money from somebody, which means every single time he does that, he gets weaker and weaker and weaker, more and more subject to others. It's the same in a family. If a family budgets and saves and has money in savings, and they're able to purchase their cars without borrowing, and able to buy clothes without borrowing, and go on vacations without borrowing, then they become a stronger and stronger and stronger family. If, though, they overspend and then they have to borrow for a car, so they're spending more than they would otherwise, and borrow for their clothes, so they're spending more than they would otherwise, then that family gets weaker and weaker and weaker, increasingly vulnerable to those they're borrowing from. Now, why do we borrow? We borrow because we think it's a good cause. We need the clothes. We need the car. We want a nicer home than we can afford. So right now, governments all over the world are borrowing and becoming weaker and weaker, more and more vulnerable because of good causes. I mean, sometimes I think the Senate thinks it's a group of church elders, and the House of Representatives thinks it's a Sunday school class, and the White House thinks it's the parsonage, because it seems as though every good cause they see, they want to fund. Well, the secret to investing well and helping others is to have a shortage, to be able to give what you can afford to give, and to be able to sow that seed. It's a sowing of seed to help others and to help. It's always good to be a giver, and so to help others. So sometimes when we see a politician, they say, well, this is such a good cause, we have to fund it. That's not the basis with which we should judge. But instead, we should judge saying, we have this much discretionary money. These are the endless list of good projects, and we're going to pick 3 of them or 4 of them. Now, every good person has to make that decision. Every good family has to make that decision. None of us can buy everything we want, and none of us can help all the good causes that we want. There are always more orphanages to fund, more needy people to help, but we have to choose. And so I would encourage you to think about when we make choices in our lives and choose wisely, we get stronger and stronger. So what kind of a government do we want? Do we want a government that's forced to make decisions and choose, which means lots of good projects won't be funded? Or do we want to have our government fund everything they're thinking of and get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker? I think every one of us need to make these decisions for ourselves, and every one of us need to elect strong representatives that will make high-quality decisions for our government so that our personal life can get stronger our family life can get stronger, and our national, state, and federal government and our city governments, so they can all get stronger as they make wise decisions. That's simply put, enough of a tip for today. God bless you.